Let's start this week off being selfish and make one single bagel just for ourselves. Start with half a cup of warm water. I bring my water up to 105 degrees Fahrenheit. 1 teaspoon of brown sugar and 1 teaspoon of instant dry yeast. Mix that together and set it aside until it starts to bubble. If your yeast doesn't start to come alive, it's probably dead and you might need new yeast. In a bowl, add 1 cup of flour. I'm using bread flour, but you can also use all-purpose flour. Add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and then mix in your yeast mixture that's been sitting on the side. Now, depending on how well you measured out your ingredients, your dough will be either really sticky or not. It doesn't matter, just keep rolling with it. I'm going to knead this dough a little bit in the bowl with the spatula. I'm simply just going to fold the dough over and then push it towards the bottom of the bowl with the spatula. Do that for a couple of minutes and then cover the bowl, set it aside until it doubles in size. Usually takes about an hour. Your dough will still be sticky, that's okay. Pour a bunch of flour on a piece of parchment paper and just start folding in your dough to the middle. The flour will make it not as sticky. Form your dough into a bagel shape. I just do this by simply poking a hole in the middle. Now add 1 tablespoon of honey to boiling water in a pot. Don't use a pan like I did. It made it really difficult for myself to flip it over, and boil each side of the bagel for 1 minute on each side. You can boil it a little longer if you want the bagel to be more chewy. Take the bagel out. I normally would put an egg wash on top before I add my toppings, but I didn't want to crack an egg just for one bagel. So I'm just gonna put the everything seasoning on top of it and put it in my air fryer. You want to cook it at 350 for 20 minutes, but flip it midway through so both sides get cooked. If you cook it in your oven, there's no need to flip it over. It's just way too hot to turn my oven on right now, which is why I'm using the air fryer. I wanted my bagel crunchy because I'm just going to put cream cheese on it, but if you're making bagel sandwiches, cook it for a little less so it's nice and squishy and chewy. Now, some people will argue that it's not a bagel if it doesn't have malt in it, so feel free to swap out the malt for the sugar.